I can hear you.
Good. Learn. One of the biological signs of a creature being alive, biologically, is the ability to adapt. And so we adapt. Organisms learn from mistakes. So bearing in mind how well it goes when you keep telling me that your tech is perfect and yet shit keeps going wrong, notice the reaction that happens in me. So adapt and don't. Right, off you go. So say for me, last time I spoke with Luke, he was younger. Last time I spoke with Luke, he was younger.
L'année fois, comme je parle avec Luc, il y était...
Pause. I understood you. A French person who with no English would have also understood you, but let's just clean it up. I'm just going to have another cup of tea, and this is how gay I am. So say for me, the last time.
L'année fois.
No, what's the word for last?
Dernière fois.
That's it, la dernière fois, lovely. With a gender, you need to be giving me a or So don't learn a gender, learn the approach. So a feminine is une, head voice, la, head voice. A male is le. I mean, at the risk of being gender stereotypical, le, you know. So obviously a very lesbian, male sound. So, don't think this is a masculine word, this is a feminine word. The only time it's worth doing that is if the word joins to the L. So you sort of think, l'hôtel. Okay, yeah, but it's masculine. But if the word is any other word, whether the word is separate, then make sure that you've just gone word, word, and learn the approach road, and then that will make sense. So it's la dernière fois. Okay, so say for me the last time.
La dernière fois. Dernière fois.
That was splendid. That was absolutely splendid. Notice how you went right. Every syllable is either going to be what I call, the goat sound or the boat sound. That was splendid. It didn't just sound more French. It was really clear to hear. Like the ear got it. Lovely. That I spoke with Luke. Notice it's going to need a that because the last time is a noun. I am a noun. So basically, admittedly a subject pronoun, but you're another entity that could do a verb. So the fact is, if I'm going from one agent that could going into another one, I'm going to need a que. So the last time that I spoke with Luke.
La dernière fois que je parle avec Luc.
Lovely. Not comme, which everybody thinks, comme, comment, que. Similar little words, que j'ai parlé avec Luc. Lovely. He was younger.
Et il était plus jeune.
Gorgeous. Jeune. Not jaune. Yeah, jeune. Lovely. Lips together. La dernière fois que j'ai parlé avec Luc, il était plus jeune. In your sentence, which is going to join up, you are going to have highs and lows of vibration. La dernière fois que j'ai parlé avec Luc, il était plus jeune. From you, I don't want to pause in the middle. The last time I spoke with Luke, he was younger. La dernière fois que j'ai parlé avec Luc, il était plus jeune.
Les dernières fois que je parle avec Luc, il est plus jeune.
You've just said, the last time I speak with Luke, he is younger. Sort out your tenses, listen. La dernière fois que j'ai parlé avec Luc, il était plus jeune. We've got to have and a was. La dernière fois que j'ai parlé avec Luc, il était plus jeune. Go.
Les dernières fois...
No, that's the last few times. La dernière fois.
La dernière fois, j'ai parlé avec Luc, il était plus jeune.
Il était, non, il y était. Il était.
Et il était plus jeune.
More yellow. Plus jeune. Plus jeune. That's it. Okay, good. Okay. Fun. I think young people are fun. All the best ones in my dungeon. The younger ones, they survive longer. They've got more will to live. When you break one of the older ones, they've got nothing left to live for. They die quite easily. But the young ones are fun. Yeah, they'll fight back. Jeune. Okay. Good. They're moaning about the chafing though. It's terrible. So, but since the last time, and also while we're there, a bit of grammar. If you had a since and then a verb, you'd have depuis que. So since last year, depuis l'année dernière, since I saw Tess, depuis que j'ai vu Tess. So say for me, since last time, again, since last time, I am giving you last time again on purpose for the gender. So say for me, since last time.
Depuis la dernière fois.
Fucking fabulous accent. Okay. You can tell it's China, not shit, because it fucking rings. He had a birthday. He had action a birthday.
Il avait un bon anniversaire.
Actions have
sorry.
auxiliaries.
Il a eu
That's it. Well done.
un anniversaire.
Good. Go again, all one sentence. Just check with Tess. Check what Tess would say in English. Just say to me, he had a birthday. Let me just hear how Tess would say that in English. Say he had a birthday.
He had a birthday.
Listen to how fluent. Listen to how your mouth doesn't do crazy stuff. Listen to how, even as a neat, consonant RP style speaker, that your mouth isn't doing gymnastics. Yeah, he had a birthday. The old fucker. He had a birthday. So then go into the French. French needs to be less effort than English. So just say to me, il a eu un anniversaire. Keep it as casual. Il a eu un anniversaire.
Il a eu un anniversaire. Il a eu un anniversaire.
Do you know what happened then? Your fluidity and the softness was so good that you wound up further ahead in the sentence than your brain was ready for. You're like, oh. You absolutely went down the il a eu slide, which is marvelous. And then you were like, bugger me, I wasn't ready for anniversaire.
So true.
Il a eu un anniversaire. So, il a eu un anniversaire. Il a eu un anniversaire.
Il a eu un anniversaire.
Lovely. Okay. Because he's weird, he chose to spend this birthday with his neighbours who are between 60 and 85. Because he's weird.
Parce qu'il est bizarre.
Why don't we link que and il?
Parce qu'il est bizarre.
Bizarre. Lovely. He chose action past.
Il a choisi.
Lovely. What comes after choisi if you're going into another verb? Il a choisi de.
Il a choisi de.
Nice. There's not a lacking vowel. Spend, beginning with the P.
Prendre.
Passer. Yeah. I wore this hoodie for like 30 seconds over at my neighbour's, and it stinks of smoke from that 30 seconds. So off you go. I wouldn't mind if she smoked the same brand as my grandpa, but she doesn't. So that would be nostalgic and some sort of like little Gauloise nice way. She's on the Rothmans. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
So basically, so he chose, il a choisi de spend, beginning with a P,
passer. Il a choisi, passer. Il a choisi de passer.
Nice accent, nice high and low. We could have said he chose to celebrate. Il a choisi de fêter. Yeah, fêter, if we wanted to as well. His birthday.
Son anniversaire.
Well done. Okay. With his neighbours.
Avec ses voisins.
Nice nasality. Bloody good. Lovely. Who are between 60 and 80. Now, before you go any further, if you were to give an age, what verb do you use with age? J'ai plus age. Il a plus age. So everybody gets a bit panicky with age. If you're using an adjective, which you did earlier, Luke is young, Luke is old, fine, use the verb to be because it's an adjective. But if you are saying age, you will use have. So if I'm saying they are between 60 and 80, I'm talking about the years thing, so I need to use have. Bearing in mind neighbours is plural, so what word is going to come after the key? So qui, what's the plural? Have. That's it. Lovely. Qui ont, yeah. I don't need qu'ils ont because the neighbours who have, les voisins qui ont, between 60 and 80.
Qui ont...
between.
Entre.
No, entre. Good. Entre. Lovely. 60 and 80.
60
et
60 et 60 et 20. Is it?
420.
80.
And then I need what on the end for years? 80.
80 ans.
Lovely. Your mouth doesn't like saying ont because adjectives as standard that are gerunds would use en, like, motivant, intéressant. And you've been beaten into not saying ont automatically unless you know it's feminine. But ont is obviously the tens. So put it together. Because he's weird, he chose to spend his birthday with his neighbours who are between 60 and 80 years old. Parce qu'il est bizarre, il a choisi de passer son anniversaire avec ses voisins qui ont entre 60 et 80 ans. Parce qu'il est bizarre, il a choisi de passer son anniversaire avec ses voisins qui ont entre 60 et 80 ans. Have a go.
Parce qu'il est bizarre, il a choisi de se passer son anniversaire avec ses voisins qui ont 60 à 80 ans.
Tess,
Oh,
I could
entree,
fucking weep.
Lily.
Tess, apart from entree, I could weep. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. All right, good. When you practice it, when you go back over it, when you listen to other people's stuff, when you do not do a thought in parts. It is normal to have a thought in parts. Well, Max said, Graham, what did Max say? He was going to come, I don't know, 4 but I don't know, it depends what time he gets there. Fine. Sometimes thoughts are disjointed, but other times thoughts are, hey, Luke, I've got Max at 4 o'clock. So if you guys got around here at 3:30, then we could get, the room ready for him. We could do some balloons or something, sometimes thoughts aren't disjointed, So I know you get shaky when you come off the tramadol, but sometimes it's like we need to say a thought in one go. So in other words, if you sort of think, your brain will automatically, you don't need to prep and prepare for a broken sentence. So for example, Robbie in the group, I was sort of saying, so his other half is Brazilian. And I was saying, do you ever speak to them in French? Because his other half has lived in France for 8 years. And because he was sort of saying, I'm not doing enough French. And I said, right, send me. He said, oh, he did send me a WhatsApp the other day. So I said, send me the message. And he sent me the WhatsApp. And it was perfectly good. And it ironically had like a rather copy-pasted, adopted sort of like Marais French kind of accent. But I said, yeah, French is grand. I said, but what's really interesting is that he's kind of got this like slightly moany Parisian quality to it. And I very much doubted that he had that in real life. He sort of borrowed it with the language. But what was really interesting was that actually he shed loads of pauses. So it wasn't this. It was something like, oh, we went to a park and saw some woman. I mean, I can't remember what it was. I was listening to the French, not the story. But it was like doing loads of little pauses. On est allé au parc, il y avait une petite femme avec un bébé, So there were these pauses. And I thought, that's nice. And that wasn't him going, I'm going to help Robbie by dividing the sentence. That was as and when he was recalling certain things. He went, well, I went to the park and there was this and there's this and this. But if the sentence was, oh, hi, Tess, what did you do this morning? Oh, it was grand. We went for a park. We went for a walk around, put my trainers on. We got a cup of coffee on the way back and Luke treated me to a cake. If that's your thought, then you'd be really, really, really daft not to practice the whole thought in one go now. Really, really seriously. Anything less than that is beneath you. Okay. I drank too much alcohol because now it's a question of inflammation. It's not about hangovers. It's just, I ache the following day, but you've got to do it. So I drank too much alcohol. Too much alcohol. Let's say, which is a bad idea, because now I have too much inflammation. We'll go with that.
J'ai bu beaucoup d'alcool.
No, we've been over this before. Too much, not a lot. Too much alcohol. Beginning with T, a word for too much.
Trop.
That's lovely. And how do I? Now, you just previously said beaucoup d'alcool. You just said that. So how am I going to say too much alcohol?
Beaucoup trop d'alcool.
I don't need
no.
Trop.
Trop. For it. Trop beaucoup.
No, I don't need both. I'll remind you the facts.
Oh, okay.
You just said beaucoup d'alcool. And then you also correctly said that the word we need to use is trop. Have a go.
Trop d'alcool.
Good job. When we've got a noun and we've got a named quantity, we use the word de. When we've got a noun and we've got a named quantity, we use the word de. Yeah? A kilo of apples, whatever, a kilo de pommes. Too much, weed. Trop de shit. Too much wine, trop de vin. Yep. I went and bought wine. Alors moi, je suis allé acheter du vin. I'm using the du's and the dollars. I'm going to go buy some apples. Alors moi, je vais acheter des pommes. Fewer apples. Or less apples for plebs. Moins de pommes. It's like when we've got a quantity, just go back down to a de. Just go back down to a de. If your word starts with a vowel, great. trop de pommes or trop d'orange, whatever. So I drank too much alcohol. J'ai bu trop d'alcool. Say for me, it's a bad idea. How do you say it's a bad idea?
C'est une mal idée.
Pause. Say for me, it's a good idea.
C'est une bonne idée.
Good. What's the diametric opposite to bun? Mal is an adverb.
Mal. Mieux.
No, that's better. We've done this. We did this last time. Mo.
Moi.
Finish it off. Mo. Who are you calling a mo?
Sorry.
I am indeed a mo, but no.
Mauvais.
Une mauvaise.
Un mauvais.
Make it feminine. Une mauvaise. A bad idea, Tess. A bad idea.
Un mauvais.
Excuse me. Feminine approaches from on high. Feminine approach. That's it. Mauvais.
Un mauvais.
Feminine. Mauvais.
Un mauvais.
What's the feminine of mauvais? Mauvaise.
Mauvaise.
Okay, I never do this, but allow a little bit of visual. Okay, me naked with handcuffs. Mauvais. M-A-U-V-A-I-S. Picture it. Mauvais. Now give me the feminine. Mauvaise.
Mauvaise.
That's bad. Mal can be a noun. Le mal. Le bien, le mal, good and evil, whatever. Or my other brothers. Mauvais is a noun. Is an adjective, largely, predominantly. Mal is predominantly adverb adjective. So it's like, I feel bad. Je me sens mal. Alors, I spoke badly. J'ai mal parlé. I didn't understand very well. I understood badly. J'ai mal compris. But in other words, bon, the opposite of which is mauvais, the feminine of which is bon, the feminine of which is mauvaise. Yeah. So nouns tend to be bon and mauvais and mauvaise, and verbs tend to be mal and bien, generally. Right. So say for me, a bad idea, feminine, une mauvaise.
Une mauvaise idée.
Link idée, une mauvaise idée, une mauvaise idée.
Une mauvaise idée.
Now that was nice. Don't remember the consonants, you'll automatically remember the consonants, you're English. Remember the vowels. Une mauvaise idée.
Une mauvaise idée.
Tune in a little bit more to what vowels I gave you. Une mauvaise idée. Une mauvaise idée.
Une mauvaise idée.
Flawless. Totally flawless. Totally flawless. Okay. So certainly it was a bad idea. C'était une mauvaise idée. C'était une mauvaise idée. Lovely. Because it's a question of information. It's a question of inflammation. Inflammation ends ION, so we've got a general rule of thumb. It is a question of inflammation.
Parce qu'il y a une question d'inflammation.
Une question
Il y a une question d'inflammation. D'inflammation.
Great. Okay. So you went right. I know flat. Well done for pronouncing IN correctly. And the mation vowel. And in the middle, you were like, yeah. You can't do that in French. There's nowhere you can hide with a vowel because we just go, what was the middle vowel? It would be like saying, so if you said inflammation clearly in English, in inflammation, it'd be like an inflammation like that. It'd be like hiding a consonant. It'd be like, what? It's like, when Les Dawson used to do the women talking about gynae problems at the fence. And they'd be like, where is she? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Got. Maybe. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. So
I've forgotten about that. Yeah, but he was actually a master of that.
He was fucking marvelous. Yeah, and him and the guy that was it Roy Barrack, the guy that was in Corrie, that was like I can't remember. Yeah, marvelous. Yeah, absolutely marvelous. And he had that like face thing. And have you seen his daughter? I mean, I know he married a looker, but his daughter, I think she's about 24 now, because she's a tiny baby when he passed away. But she's quite good looking. It's just like, how have you produced that? But yeah, so it's like that goes. So, but the English brain goes, I am being loud and clear because I'm giving you consonants, inflammation. But we're like, no, where's the vowels? Un, a, yon, inflammation. So sing it, inflammation.
Inflammation.
Lovely. Now, step one then is, so a beginner speaker says it like they're saying it in English, which is basically, inflammation, which is basically just in an English way with lots of consonants and small vowels. A better speaker gives me the vowels. Inflammation. But the consonants are still massive. And a perfect French speaker goes, I can do big vowels. I just need to keep my lips together. Inflammation. Yeah. I always say this. In English, if we go small, we go small. Tess, look. Fuck. Tess, look over there. Yeah, there's Gabby. Oh my God. Oh my God, she's selling herself for weed. Oh my God. Okay, whatever. Okay. Goodness gracious me, only 5. God, it's rough up north. So the fact is, if you then said, oh my God, Tess, look. Oh my God. And if we went louder, the mouth would open and we do this. I'm not saying there's not a human thing in French where you go, putain, tu m'énerves. Obviously, sometimes you do. But generally, if you were just going a little bit louder, you don't need to have big vowels and big consonants. You have big vowels and the mouth stays là. Mais non, je t'ai dit, pourquoi tu sors? Je t'ai dit de rester là ce soir. Oh, mais non, je suis tout seul là. We don't need to do big mouth, big consonants. They're not in balance with each other. Yeah, the mouth stays small. Can I remind you, the loudest hum you can do is with your mouth closed. Yep, there's no, you don't need the mouth open for it. Good. So put it together. I drank too much alcohol. It was a bad idea. It's a question of inflammation. J'ai bu trop d'alcool. C'était une mauvaise idée. C'est une question d'inflammation. J'ai bu trop d'alcool. C'était une mauvaise idée. C'était une question. So you're doubling up on c'était. J'ai bu trop d'alcool. C'était une mauvaise idée. C'était une question d'alcool. C'était une question d'inflammation.
Okay. J'ai bu trop d'alcool. C'était une mauvaise idée.
Again, another c'était. It's a question of inflammation.
C'était une question d'inflammation. D'inflammation.
That's it. Good. Okay. Lovely. I lost my scarf when I was having lunch with that bitch Brenda and that bitch Robbie in Paris. I lost my scarf when I was having lunch with that bitch Brenda and that bitch Robbie in Paris.
Oh.
Go round. Describe the image that you see. Don't give a shit about the words. Go round. After Paris, I couldn't find something I wore with for who gives a fuck? Go round, see what.
J'ai perdu.
J'ai what? No.
Perdu.
I told you I know where your children are. What is the pronunciation of that word?
Perdu.
Thank you. If we are obsessing about goat and boat, noises, noises. Listen how. I'm not saying you shouldn't be interested at your level now between the differences between different vowels that are both by definition higher and both by definition lower. So, for example, I would still want from you and get from you a slide from ui. They're both by definition above the chin. And equally, if I was going oo, like I wanted, je veux, I've still got a slide between an and an oo. But our main interest, our main slide is the Scooby-Doo quality between a high and a low. So you think how if you said perdre, you are going down, and perdre for me is going high. So you are presenting me with a boat and I need a goat, and that's the biggest clash you can do. So not only are you doing the thing, well, you're not doing this, but you're not even just doing the basic British thing, which is to make everything in the throat, like, yeah, oui, je m'appelle Tess, which you don't do. But you're not doing even that. You're going in the wrong vibrational space, which is really a big no-no. So I'd rather you, with complete commitment, pick a vowel and go perdre and vibrate, and at least pick one, rather than going, do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, but it's perdre, personne, super. Yeah, Okay, off you go. So I lost a scarf in Paris with that bitch Brenda and that bitch Robbie for lunch, whatever.
Okay. J'ai perdu mon scarf vu que...
I don't like assumed anglicisms. What the fuck do you honestly think in the land of Givenchy, Dior, Coco Chanel, do you really think the word for scarf is going to be scarf? Really?
No, I was... Is it... chiffon? Chiffon?
Now that would have worked. Chiffon is actually the word for... Apologising to anybody whose wedding dress was made out of chiffon. Chiffon in French, it is a fabric, but it also just means almost like a bit of a rag. So like a chiffonnier would be like a bit of a scutter, a scrubber, you know, like just somebody that sells old rag. So yeah, so if your scarf is woolly, then it would be écharpe. And if your scarf is kind of silky, elegant, it would be foulard. Mine was like a sort of, you know, the sort of biker scarf meets tuxedo scarf. It's got like the paisley print on the one side and then a bit of a wool on the other side. Do you know what I mean? So that would be more of a foulard because it's kind of like a nice one. If it was like, summer in Swansea and you've got like a knitted woolly one, then that would be like an écharpe. But we're going with foulard. Okay. So masculine. I lost my scarf.
J'ai perdu mon foulard.
Lovely. Listen, so when I tell you a word, listen for goat or boat. Did I say foulard or foulard? Here it is, foulard. Did I go foulard or foulard?
Down. Foulard.
Good. Okay. I haven't read it in French. I'm just trying to think, but I think that's Hogwarts. In the French version of Harry Potter is Poulard. Hang on, wait there 1 second. It's fascinating me now. Give me 1 sec. Harry. 1 second. Yeah, Poulard. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And Snape. I'm trying to think what Snape's name was. I think I've read Snape, Professor Snape in French. He's got an interesting name. I've read it in Spanish and Italian. I'm not bothered to read it. Oh, Rogue, yeah. Severus Rogue, yeah. A load of people will say to me, oh, I'm going to read Harry Potter for my French. And I'm like, why? Why do you need vocabulary on owl, lotion, potion, motion, cauldron?
No, I'm not going to.
It's just such a niche. So if you literally, I always say to people, if you want to do something that's a little bit freeing, pick up a novel, make sure you know what the passive sampler is well, because obviously the descriptive language would be in the passive sampler. So that's like Harry went to the whatever castle. The tense you'd read for a book wouldn't be like Harry est allé, it'd be Harry alla. So when people start reading books, and people go places in books, you know, so if it's like Harry went, it's Harry alla, and they're all like, what's alla got to do with it? But it's like alla is the book tense of went. So, but if you want to do something that's quite sensible, so I don't need people who I want to get faster in conversation being able to say the crimson hue of the twilight sky glistens over, you know. I don't need that. But unless you've got a really verbose, loquacious fucker as a character, most people speak in fairly normal ways. So what you can do for some skim reading is pick up a book, and you know that French quotation marks are not 66 and 99. They're like the sort of the V's on their side on both sides, yeah. But we don't use that as much now. We tend to use hyphen. So it could be like hyphen and then the words. Or it won't even introduce the character. You just know it's a dialogue between two people. And the passé sampler of he said. So he said in a book is. So basically, watch the video on this if you're interested in this, because it really is self-explanatory after a while. But basically, the bottom three of the passé sampler end in a m sound, a t sound, and a r sound. So if you said he speaks, so I speak, you speak, yada yada. In other words, the book equivalent of j'ai parlé, tu as parlé, il a parlé, nous avons parlé, vous avez parlé, ils ont parlé would be parler, parla, parla, parlam, parlat, parler. And you're like, dude, that sounds really Latin. Yes, because it's the tense that was born from Pig Latin. So the point is, which do you think in a book out of I spoke, you spoke, he spoke, we spoke, you spoke, and they spoke, which do you think are going to be the ones that are used the most in a book?
He or she describing
There you go,
people.
third people, exactly.
Yeah.
So the standard ending for an ER verb, and now I'm saying ER for once, not A, because we are reading, is just the letter A. So for example, he sang, il chanta. It's that simple. You just swap the E for an A, il chanta. He danced, il dansa. Then it goes, and then the bottom three, so parler, parla, parla, you're just borrowing the have verb, but in the middle, parler, parla, parla, parlam, parlat, parler, muttera. And then if you go to what we would call a soft, hard verb, and formally in other methods, people would call it IR verb or an RE verb, but they'd be different verbs. But in my method, they're the same. So they'd be all on E. So for example, vendi, 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 he sold, you know, vendime, vendit, vendir. So you'd read vendi, and that would have an ending of IT. And people would be like, ooh, what the fuck is that? So that looks different. He finished, fini. And your brain hears it and goes, fini. I know the sound fini. So he finishes present tense, so je finis, tu finis, il finit. That in the present tense is F-I-N-I-S, F-I-N-I-S, F-I-N-I-T. So that would look like the present tense. But it wouldn't be he finishes, it would be he finished. Likewise said, sorry. So said in the spoken language, as you know in the present, je dis, tu dis, Max dit, Graham dit, nous disons, vous dites, ils disent. In the normal language, j'ai dit, tu as dit, il a dit, nous avons dit, that's the past tense in the oral spoken language. In the books, je dis, tu dis, il dit, nous dîmes, vous dites, ils dirent. That's in the books. So so that D1, whilst you can obviously have, and this is great for anybody doing any essays, because instead of saying, the government says, déclare, atteste, constate, révèle, croit, whatever verb you want to come out with, instead of just saying say. But if you look at a book, any book like token, whatever, it'll either be just written in the present tense, which is a new style, to sort of go, she enters the room. So as a joke, somebody brought 50 Shades of Grey to the group once on a Wednesday, as in we were going to do some reading, and I said to everybody, bring a book, and they found 50 Shades of Grey in French. And it wasn't written, if memory serves, in the passé simple. It's like, she enters the room, he ties her up, he spanks her ass, they make millions. It's a waste of time. It's nothing new to older people, to younger people. It's fabulous. It's Twilight fan fiction. That's what it was. 50 Shades of Grey. And so that's not written in it. But in most other books, if you said, what time is Graham coming? She said, it'll be, il arrive à quelle heure, Graham? And the quote will be spoken language, although it is in a book. The character of Tess, lovely character name, the character of Tess would speak in normal language. So unless you are quoting indirectly, and you are, oh God, I've just broken one of my grandma's bloody bowls. Oh, pissing bollocks. Oh, never mind. That's really annoying. If you were speaking the spoken language, oh, what a shame. I'll have to glue that. If you were speaking in the spoken language, oh, never mind. If you were speaking in the spoken language, you'd say, and you were quoting indirectly. So if I said, oh, Tess said she wanted to come later. So that is indirectly quoting you. And I'm telling you what the character said. Okay? Tess dit, in a book, Tess dit qu'elle voulait venir plus tard. Okay? Whatever. Or it could be, Tess said, quote or hyphen, I would like to come later. Yeah. So for my mind, if you just scan a book, you'll see dit-il, he said, which is he said in the passive sampler. So scan a book, look for anything that's in quotes. That is what your character is saying. So unless you're reading a book or a film on, superheroes or DNA or science or some really niche crime thing, most stories, and the more teenage drama you can read, the better. Not because you're infantile and you're French, but just because teenagers just speak so much about every possible emotion. So read it. Don't read all the massive, she crossed the campus as the morning frost crunched under her feet as she jogged. You're reading Silence of the Lambs and Clarice is running around. Fuck what it looks like. Fuck what it looks like where Clarice is running, the FBI training place. Don't read the description, or fine, do, but don't be interested in it. But just scan your eyes down for, okay, she entered into the room. Good morning, Clarice, said Dr. Lecter. Like, look at that kind of thing. Look at the dialogue. And that's a really fun way to read a book, but not be like, I don't understand anything. Do you know what I mean? And it's actually quite good fun. And really, just that's quite a good way of doing it. So good. So say Luke has given me a good idea.
Luc m'a donné une bonne idée.
Okay, you can read a book in a simple way. Now, let me remind you, when you use the preposition with way in French, you don't say in, you say of, or from a simple way. De. So from a simple way. What are the ways for way that we're going to use in French test? One is with an F, one is with an M.
Façon.
Nice. Façon, high, low. And what's the other one? Manière.
Manière.
Which is where we get manner from in English. Luke did it in a weird manner. Yeah. Yeah. So d'une façon, d'une manière, not dans une manière, dans une façon. Okay. So yeah. So Luke's given me an easy way. Luc m'a donné une manière facile. Whatever. Okay. You can read what people say. Off you go. You can read what people say.
On peut rire.
Lire, not laugh. Lire.
Lire, sorry. On peut lire.
Pause. Before we go any further. What when it is not a question?
Ce que.
Good. Pause. While you're there, at your level now, type sucker as a bit of homework into my YouTube, and you will see the alternatives to sucker. To quickly remind you, sucker is followed by a normal person doing a normal verb. So I like what Tess is doing. In other words, anything that can use a que, that can use a qu'est-ce que, can use a sucker. So what are you doing? Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Because if you imagine the normal sentence, say for me, Tess, you do the work. Say for me, you do the work.
Tu fais le travail.
Gorgeous. Was there any crapping preposition between fait and le travail? Did we have anything interrupting fait and le travail?
No.
Yes or no? No. So that is a normal sentence. For want of a better word, I know normal subjective. Who am I to talk about normal? That is a normal sentence. So if it's a normal sentence, you can use all your family favorites. Tess fait le travail. Le travail que Tess fait. Tess le fait. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? What are you doing? I know what she's doing. Je sais ce qu'elle fait. And that all the normal things that you can use. Remembering, if you have a verb with a de, you can't use any of those. So, for example, je parle de la situation dont je parle, j'en parle, la situation, je sais ce dont tu parles, although people often in lazy French will say, je sais de quoi tu parles. Tu parles de quoi? None of the previous things were available. I've given you the video on that before. If you want it, remind me. Or if anybody wants it, remind me. It's just the one. There's Gabby and I sat at Gabby's kitchen table, and it's just like it's something like 15 ways to check that you know a verb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the other one with the à. So je pense à la situation à laquelle. It could have been à laquelle, auquel, auquel plural, or à qui. There's 5 options there. J'y pense, whatever. Je pense à quoi. Je sais ce à quoi tu penses, or à quoi tu penses in easy French. So the point is, at your level now, I might cue you and go, okay, if it's what as a question, as a non-question, you might say, okay, ce que. But if it were what and not a question, but you then went into a verb with no person, same as you'd use a qui. So the woman that Tess loves, la femme que Tess aime, the woman that loves Tess, la femme qui aime Tess, because we're not changing person. The woman that we've introduced is doing the verb. It's the same with ce que and ce qui. So I know what is happening. Je sais ce qui se passe. What is terrible about the situation in Eastern Europe at the moment? You know, ce qui est terrible, because we're going what straight into the verb is. If we were using what and the next verb just happened to use a de, you know that besoin uses de. So I know what Tess wants. I've got a shopping list for her. Je sais ce que Tess veut. Yeah. A 10-bag of line of coke and some cones stolen from a building site. I know what Tess needs. Je sais ce dont Tess a besoin. I can't use ce que if my next verb uses de. I can't use ce que if my next verb uses a. Tess is thinking of the book that she read last night. Can't get it out of her mind. Tess pense à le livre. Tess pense au livre. I know what Tess is thinking of. Je sais ce à quoi Tess pense. Can't say je sais ce que Tess pense. You can say I know what Tess is thinking, like je sais ce que Tess pense, because pense there would just be like generally opinion, like Tess thinks. So in other words, ce que's great. Be happy with ce que, but you at your level also need to know ce qui, which is the one you use if afterwards there's no person, it just goes straight to the verb. Ce dont, which is the one you use if it goes to a person doing a verb that uses de. And ce à quoi, which is the one you use if it next goes into a person doing a verb that uses a. So in other words, I will cue you and go ce que, but it might be one of those other 3. And there are other ones as well, but they're the main 4, all right? So for example, just do these for me. So in other words, if it's normal, ce que, if it goes straight into a verb, ce qui, if it goes into a verb that would have otherwise used a de, ce dont, like dont and ce dont. Think about it like this, right? If I said, the man Tess knows. Who starts the sentence, the man Tess knows? Who's it? Great. Who's doing the verb in the man Tess knows? Which person's doing the verb in the sentence, the man Tess knows? Who's doing the verb?
Tess knows.
That's right. So is that the same person, or have we changed character? I started the sentence, the man. Did I let the man do my verb, or did I bring in a new heroine to do the verb?
Yeah. The man's not doing the verb. I'm doing the verb.
Yeah. So answer my question, yes or no. Did I bring in a new person to do the verb?
No.
Did I bring the man?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, because you've got the man.
Okay. I went down the back of that abandoned flat where they're all there on the spread, and I said, I'm going to need someone to do something. The man can't be asked to do that one. Tess, come with me. Okay. I wrapped you in a marathon foil blanket from that I'd stolen from the London Marathon. I got you through your DTs, and basically then I said, right, you can do some work now. So the man that Tess knows. So l'homme que Tess connaît. All right. So in that situation, you'd use a que because you're moving into a person doing a normal verb afterwards. If I said the man that, now there's times in French, English we'd say whom or who, but there's other times you just go the man that. So Graham, the man that loves Tess. The man that loves Tess. In the sentence, the man that loves Tess, who are we starting with? Who's our champion?
The man.
And who is doing the verb in the man that loves Tess? Who's doing the verb?
He's doing
We haven't changed. We haven't brought in a new hero. So if we go from A to B straight across, we use qui. A to B equals qui. So the man that loves Tess, notice I'm deliberately saying that rather than who, or even a that pronounced, or a whom, because in English, that is what a standard we will mostly say. So the man that loves Tess, l'homme qui aime Tess. Do you understand? So there's no difference in French between a piece of fucking paper, a chest of drawers, or Tess and her family. It's who is doing the verb. The chest of drawers, that's by the door. You know, the chair that's by the window. La chaise qui est, because the chest of drawers is doing the verb. The chest of drawers I bought. You know, the chair I found. La chaise que j'ai, because I've changed character. So therefore the que. If you said the man I, no, let's stick with the chair. The chair I need, la chaise dont j'ai besoin, and we know that, don't we? Yeah, j'ai besoin de la chaise dont j'ai besoin, yeah. Notice that when we then go into our what, when it's not a question version, we're going to reference what we did earlier. So if it's the cake Tess loves, so le gâteau que Tess aime, I know what Tess loves. Je sais ce que Tess aime. And can you hear how ce, they've all got a ce dont, ce qui, ce que, they've all got ce, but can you hear how it's referencing what was a little bit higher? So the cake that I love, le gâteau que j'aime. I know what Tess loves. Je sais ce que Tess aime. I'm sort of referencing the cut that was up there. The situation which is terrible, la situation qui est terrible. I know what is terrible is, you know, je sais ce qui est terrible. So I'm referencing the key that was higher. The chair Tess needs, la chaise dont Tess a besoin. I know what Tess needs. Je sais ce dont Tess a besoin. So it's just to basically remind you, need to do nothing more at this stage than just be aware that there are more than ce qui, ce que. There's ce qui, ce que, ce dont, ce à quoi. And if you just play with those, what is a non-question, you'll be fine. So good, do me a little mixed bag of sentences with those. So I will give you the normal sentence first, and you will be listening for whether you hear normal verb, de, a. I'll give you all the information you need. So Tess loves the beach. Your way the trêve. So Tess loves the beach. So Tess aime la plage. Tess aime la plage. Was there any fuckery in that sentence between aimer and la plage?
No.
So normal. So how would you say the beach that Tess loves?
Le
plage
que Tess aime.
That's it, because it's a normal sentence. Great. You've just used que, or you would have used que. So how would you say, I know what Tess loves?
Je sais ce que Tess aime.
Yeah, now you don't necessarily have to work your way through those to get to it, but it's just to remind you that they're all in the same family. The same family would say Tess loves it. Well, that's what it said on a bog in Swansea. But Tess loves it. Tess l'aime. Notice that le, la, les are in that family. Notice that qu'est-ce que. What's the last word of qu'est-ce que, Tess? Que. Do you spot how it works? Qu'est-ce que. What does Tess like? Go and read on the toilet wall. Qu'est-ce que Tess aime? Yeah, the same. So those 5 would work like that. Lovely. Let's do another sentence. I know we can use il me faut for need, but we're not going to for the moment. So say for me, he needs the chair. He needs the chair. Graham can't sit on the floor. You know, say for me, he needs the chair, using besoin.
Il a besoin de chaise.
The chair?
Du chaise.
Correct idea, but it's a feminine chair. Il a besoin de
la chaise.
But you're absolutely correct that people focus so much on the de. So you did 2 things that were very clever, although it got you to the wrong place. The first thing is you like, right, I completely know that it goes de into my object. Yeah, because it's besoin de chair. but it's the chair. He needs the chair, right? So il a besoin de la chaise. It's always going to be il. So what did I say? When is the only time you can use de with a chair? If it's a quantity, yeah? Lots of chairs, beaucoup de chairs, fewer chairs, moins de chaises. Yeah, that's the only time you can use de without anything before it. Otherwise, he needs a chair, il a besoin d'une chaise. He needs the chair, il a besoin de la chaise. He needs my chair, the cheeky fucker, il a besoin de ma chaise. Whatever.
Yeah.
So good. So say to me again, he needs the chair, il a besoin de la chaise.
Il a besoin de la chaise.
Great. So are we in agreement that there was a de in this sentence?
Correct.
Yes. So we can't use que, ce que, qu'est-ce que, any of that crap.
No.
Bye, Felicia, bye. That's gone. So if I said, what word do I use that sits in the middle? If I say the chair, he needs la chaise blank, il a besoin. La chaise.
Dont.
That's
Dont.
it. Don is a reverse de, en is a replaced de. Don is a reverse de, en is a replaced de. Lovely. If you use en, you are replacing, not all the time, but most of the time, you're replacing what would the de would have been. So if I said, for example, we've just used a don, where you could use a don, you could use a se don. Not in the same place, but the same verbs will use both. The only difference is don is separating the full thing, the full object, and the verb. So Graham needs the address. Graham a besoin de l'adresse. I could have said il lui faut l'adresse, but I'm not for the moment. Graham needs the address. Graham a besoin de l'adresse. The address Graham needs, l'adresse.
Ce dont.
Don't.
Just don't.
Just don't. So let me explain the difference.
Ah.
When we were talking about suki and suka and all of that, what cue line did I give you? How did I remind you to use suka? I said it's what when it's not a what. It's what when it's not a
question.
Great. So in other words, it's not entirely that in English. There are other times in English where you will use suki and suka where you don't say the word what. But for most, intermediate to beginner advanced speakers, that will cover you for 90%. So in other words, am I saying in any way, shape or form the word what here when it's not a question? No. So in other words, dans is when you have both things in full. Graham and the address are both untouched. Graham a besoin de l'adresse. Dans is when everything is still there. You've just swapped it round. L'adresse, dans, Graham a besoin.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Is when everything is still there. I previously taught that don is a longer word than en, than on. On is a shorter word than don. So on reminds you to use on when you are using a short version of something else. Graham needs it. We've got rid of the address. We've shortened the address. So Graham en a besoin, for example. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not doing the on ones today. We're doing the what ones. So in other words, if my verb used don when I'm mentioning the address in full, so before don, you will always have a full thing. The address, dont Graham parle. L'adresse, dont Graham a besoin. Ce dont is the thing. I know what Graham needs. This what is referencing the thing Graham needs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Literally pointing at it. In a way of speaking, it's like another way of saying I need. So Tess eats it. Tess eats the cake. Tess mange le gâteau. Tess eats it. Tess le mange. The le has taken the cake and it's made it a shorter form, hasn't it? It's made it a pronoun. In a way, what I know what Tess eats is another pronoun of sorts, isn't it? Because it's sort of saying, I'm not going to refer to the cake, but I'm taking the cake and I'm referencing it. It's exactly the same with ce dont. Ce dont sounds like don. It's got a don in the middle of it, but it's not don. Don is when you've got everything in full. Ce dont is when you are referencing the thing, you're grabbing it, you're saying the word what most of the time in English. You just happen to be with verbs that like de, and therefore the word just happens to be ce dont. So for example, I know what this thing, I know this thing, I know what Graham needs. Je sais
ce dont
Graham a besoin. That's it.
a besoin.
And it's really, so the same verbs will use de, because they use de. As will use don, because it needs a don when you swap them round. As will use on, because on is when you've got rid of it. Graham, on a besoin. As will use se don if you're using what with them. And people go, oh, with this verb, is it don or on or se don? I'm like, it's all of them. It just depends on what the sentence is. Yeah. The fifth version is, what does Graham need? Graham a besoin de quoi? Lovely. Let's do one more. You've got 2 minutes. Good to go. So if I said, Luke's thinking about the situation. Luke pense à la situation. Luke pense à la situation. So going the way round, the situation Luke's thinking of, la situation to which Luke's thinking, à laquelle. Yeah, to which. Yeah, to which. Can I remind you? Luke works with the woman with whom Luke works. Luke works for the company for which Luke works. Luke thinks of the situation. In French is Luke thinks to the situation. So we're just going to say the situation to which Luke thinks. That's all we're doing. That's where the à laquelle's coming from. Luke thinks about the situation. Luke pense à la situation. The situation Luke's thinking of, la situation à, to which à laquelle Luke pense. So forget that. Luke thinks about it. Luke y pense, because that's your pronoun version. But if I now wanted to use what, I know what Luke's thinking of. Can't use ce que, can't use ce qui, can't use ce dont. What was the one I used with what? With the two.
Ce à quoi.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Because it's still what? It's still not a question. Oh, I know what Luke's thinking about. Slangier French will say, I know to what Luke's thinking. Alors moi, je sais à quoi. In the same way that instead of saying ce dont, some people will say, je sais de quoi. It's just the same way in English, you know, whether you'd say the gentleman with whom as opposed to the gentleman I work with. It's exactly the same thing. There's just different ways of doing relative pronouns. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, but it's nice to learn them properly. So I know what you're talking about. You're talking, tu parles. You're talking about what? Tu parles de quoi? I know what you're talking about. Je sais de quoi tu parles. Strictly speaking, je sais ce dont tu parles. Good, you've got to go and educate somebody. Good. Well done, well done, well done. Nice
Lovely.
work.
Thank you. And happy anniversary. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Oh,
to you.
Tessa.
Belated.
From Anglicism, I'm proud of you.